Well, okay, so again, this is a hypothetical scenario, but if I was out with a female friend and I told her, I was like, hey, you see that girl over there? She's really cute. Can you go talk to her for me? And then she goes and talks to the girl, and she tells the girl, hey, go up to him. He thinks you're cute. She's going to be like, nah, she's going to be like, he can come to me, like, nah.
In that situation, yeah, that's kind of weird, but like that's not how anything takes place. It's more likely that I'm gonna DM some guy I'm friends with and be like, oh, my friend who's a girl thinks you're hot, dude, like here's her Instagram or whatever, and then he's like, or like vice versa. Like if I have a guy friend, I've literally done this with Alex, where I've been like, oh, my guy friend or whatever, like I've told him that like I had a cute like single girlfriend,
and he messaged her
through Instagram, but I was like the coordinator.
But why didn't the girl message him?
Because I don't know. I don't know.
But okay, so.
But all I'm saying is like in the online realm, I think that these things function a lot differently, and I think that that's how people date for the most part now. For like, it's not really like me going up to some random guy on the street and being like, oh, hey, it's so good to meet you.
What I would actually say is that on dating apps and on social media, what I'm talking about here is actually more pronounced than it is in real life. Because on dating apps, it's just looks. On Tinder, people are just looking at looks. So, and what they've actually done some sort of experiments or studies on this. The top 10% of men on Tinder they get the lion's share. So you have 80% of the women that are chasing after the top 10% of men. Because men rate women on a bell curve in terms of attractiveness, but women, I think something like find 80% of men unattractive, physically unattractive. And they've done studies on this on OkCupid. And we can go around the table really quick. Like, of the men that you see, let's say on a dating app or in day-to-day interactions, what percent of men would you say you find physically attractive? They don't have to be a male model, but you find physically attractive.
40%.
40%? Okay.
25.
Okay. I know you're
Wait, is this in Hinge? Wait, is this just in my life?
Let's just say dating apps.
I guess like maybe.
What percent of men would you, I know you're in a relationship right now, but what percent of men would you?
15 to 20%.
Okay.
Same, probably.
15 to 20, okay.
Oh, I don't know. I always go based off of looks first, so.
She goes based off looks. Okay, so are you on a dating app right now?
Nope.
In person, just if you had to throw a number out.
Like 55%.
Okay, that's fair. Well, Luke, you're not dating men, so.
No.
But I can ask you, what percentage of women would you say you find, they don't have to be like top tier model girls, but what percent of women would you say you find physically attractive, either on dating apps or in person?
Again, that I see, probably like 50, 60.
Okay.
I'm going to chime in real quick.
I'd say like, at least here in IV, honestly, like 80% of the women I see in Isla Vista, I think are physically attractive. But go ahead. You said you wanted to, wait, same?
Same with men.
Yeah.
Like, there's some pretty good looking guys here.
Okay, fair enough. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I just think it's interesting. We're talking about how, you guys are like not into hookup culture, but we're like going, you also just kind of go based off looks and whether you want to like fuck someone right away. So then it's like,
I have other.
Do you? Okay, so what do you find? So what do you look at on a Hinge profile?
On
like
a Hinge profile?
That's if we're talking like, is it just like, do you guys just?
I mean, most
go off of physical. I only have Hinge, so I don't know Tinder. But like, is it just physical, or do you like read people's shit?
I read girls' stuff, and I actually think the highest amount, the way to get the most matches and the most success is actually like to read the prompts, and if you can, do something clever. But even then, or say something clever in response to a Hinge prompt. But I mean, it starts with appearance, and then honestly, I'm not gonna lie, most girls' dating profiles are bogus, like weak. There's some good ones, but I mean, it starts with looks. But I mean, I think for a lot of men, if they don't, like for me, I'm interested in more long-term. If it's just casual, like one-time thing, I think guys are going to prioritize looks. but I prioritize other things, and I can get into it. I have some traits here, some traits, and I've written them down. So here we go, and this is a whole bunch. A woman not need have all of these, but if she does, she's a unicorn. So, youthful, feminine, fidelitas from the jump.
What is that?
Fidelitas, so sexual faithfulness. Peaceful, pleasant, not quarrelsome, doesn't nag, gentle, innocent, modest, humble, demure, temperance, cooperative, submissive. And that word gets a bad rap, but to put it another way, willful cooperation. So follows my lead, right? Because here's the thing, like I know you guys are kind of grimacing or whatever, but like a lot of y'all will say, I want a guy who's successful, ambitious, confident, blah, 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 blah. You want all these things in a man, right? Maybe you want a guy who's dominant. Well, if you want that, you have to, there can't be two leaders. I believe in a relationship. Someone has to lead. That's my take. You guys might disagree. That's totally fine. I'll give you a few more. Not obese, fit, petite, boobs. I don't really care. I'm not gonna front. I'm kind of team small boobs. Okay, nice ass is good. Doesn't have plastic surgery. Not a fan of plastic surgery. No BBL. No fake breasts. No lipo. No fake lips. Doesn't cake on makeup, or wears no makeup. That's my preference. Has long hair. Shaves her body hair. Not a hoe. Not the town bicycle. So low body count. Doesn't post overly revealing photos online. No like sex work currently or in the past. Not a single mother. Doesn't party. Doesn't go to bars, clubs. Drinks in moderation or doesn't drink at all. So those are some.
And you said you're single, correct?
So what are you looking for?
What's
hot, like,
That's just a really long list.
Well, I mean, some of them are a bit repetitive, but were there any in particular that you took issue with? Because a lot of these are fairly not particularly difficult for a woman to do.
What's your definition of feminine?
What's my definition of feminine? I mean, some of the words that I used in this list are what would be considered traditional sort of feminine traits or characteristics.
So
feminine, like a bit more demure, for example. I don't want some loud, obnoxious chick. No offense.
And what you said about posting revealing stuff on like Instagram. So like, again, your definition of revealing.
like bikini pics?
Yeah.
I'll tolerate it. I'll
Why
tolerate
does it
it.
bother you though?
So men and women flirt differently. So men, we have to go up to you, but women, the way women flirt is by being there. Let me ask, do you get DMs from guys on Instagram that are romantically interested in you? Any girls at
Few.
this table?
Phew.
A few? Okay, so this is gonna piss some people off, but like, you receive attention in different ways. I don't get any DMs from women. Most men, the vast majority of men, will never get a DM from a woman in their life in terms of a romantic interest. As a woman, you just post some photos, bikini photo, tons of DMs coming in from dudes, sugar daddies, let me pay you $1,000 to take you to Starbucks. That's how women flirt. You just have to show up, right? So it's a bit different. Bikini photos, whatever, fine. I would say though, like, I'm just gonna be totally honest, I do prefer women who dress a bit more modestly and have a public facing modesty. That's just, I wanna make something clear. Women are free to post bikini photos. That's totally fine. But this is just a preference and a standard of mine.
So then what,
I'm
if
not,
you'll
yeah.
tolerate bikini pics, what's your
it's
stance on like guys posting shirtless pics, or like if they...
it's different. It's a bit different because like, guys, we don't really get DMs like that. Like, we don't really get that sort of attention.
I can pull out my phone and look at tons of fitness influencers or guys on TikTok who
Yeah, that's
post
their job.
Yeah,
That's
but
their
they
job,
post
though.
thirst traps and they may not get a ton of DMs, but they've got tons of thirsty comments, and I mean, I know they all get DMs.
I mean, the bikini photo thing, it's fairly low on my totem pole of importance. Like, it's not, to me, it's not so much a deal breaker, but would it be my preference if a girl just didn't even have social media? Probably. That would be my preference if she had no social media.
Why?
Because that's how women flirt, is to be out there in the ether. Now, listen, I mean,
This is giving red flags. A little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
See, but here's the interesting thing is that men are not allowed to have preferences, standards, and boundaries. Nobody bats an eye when a woman says, I want XYZ in a partner. But the moment a guy says, here are my boundaries, preferences, and standards, oh, misogyny, red flag, this, that. And the fact of the matter is, women are more picky than men are. Women, and maybe you guys disagree, women have far more standards for men than do men have standards for women. Women are incredibly picky. Not just looks-wise, but also certain character traits. Nobody bats an eye when a woman has, like I said, wants XYZ. But if a guy says, I want XYZ, insecure, misogyny, blah, 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 it's always going to be met with some sort of shaming language. But go ahead.
Well, I agree, but I also think women a lot of the times are met with like equally shaming language, like we talked about, like them being called hoes. So,
but in respect to their preferences, standards, and boundaries, if a woman has certain,
then they're asking for too much, or they have really high standards. So I think it goes both ways. I mean, I think that, and I think you're right. You have your preferences of what you're looking for in a partner. Totally respect it, but they're interesting preferences, I think, because like you don't think two people can lead in a relationship. That's interesting. I feel like that kind of, so why? Do you need to be the one that's like in control, like leading, you're the successful one,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, like is that kind of what you mean? I just thought that was super interesting. What do you mean you can't?
I would have no issue dating a woman who is actually the breadwinner. That wouldn't necessarily be an issue. The issue, I think, is more so most women date up and across, so they're not going to date down. If a woman's an attorney, you guys are, I assume, very successful. You make decent money. Attorneys make decent money. You're probably not going to date the guy that works at Starbucks.
That's not
I disagree.
true.
I disagree. I think that based on
your last boyfriend paid for everything.
Right, but clearly I'm not with him. So I don't think that necessarily is true for me. So I think that it depends on like just a whole bunch of other things. And I think that I actually don't have my like occupation on my Hinge profile. It's not something I tell people right off the bat. It's not something I ask right off the bat, because I feel like you can have this like high title, or you can be, famous or whatever, or rich, and you can be a shitty person, and it's like probably not interested in dating you, And so I don't really ask. I like to feel out the vibes. I definitely don't want a couch potato, but I think that like if the vibe's right and it like works, I would date like someone that works at Starbucks if they're a good person. Like I'm into it. Like,
okay, so would you date a guy who wants to be a stay-at-home dad? Do you want kids? First
Yes.
off?
Do I want kids?
So
I don't know.
when you have, okay, so you'd be totally okay having a life partner and you're providing everything for them.
Yes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I think that.
That's fine. Then lead. Then that's totally fine. You should lead then.
Yeah.
You're going to be the boss.
Or
Probably in that
you can find someone that's equally a boss that isn't threatened by your energy and you being a boss, and you guys can just both be bosses together.
I suppose. I mean, they've done studies on this, and the fact of the matter is most women date across and up socioeconomic hierarchies. So most women, the thing is, as a woman, as you become more successful, your pool of potential partners tends to shrink, because most women don't want to date a guy below them socioeconomically. If you're making $250,000 a year as a litigation attorney, I know you guys aren't doing, well, I don't know, whatever. Like, you're probably going to want to date someone who's at your level or above you. I'm sure you guys know some very hyper successful, incredibly brilliant women that probably would not be satisfied dating a barista.
Well, I think it depends also, because once you're in the profession and you're networking and you're rubbing elbows with you're just going to meet those types of people. It's not until you go on Hinge where you're like, oh, okay, it's a different world out there. But
right.
I think that, I think that at least the women I hang out with and the like women that I like definitely vibe with more, like it's just not something that's like on my, like, you know, you have a list, like that's not on my list. Like my significant other, like I don't really care what they do or how much they make. It's just like, are they supportive? Are they a good person? Like, do they have a sense of humor? Can I trust them? Like that, those kind of things are, I feel like, what's important. Like, I think you can lead with a partner and communicate and be fine. I don't think it has to be like a competition. That's exactly what my last relationship was, and like not it. So.
Okay. Cool. Did anybody else want to come in on this?
I mean, I definitely agree. It doesn't matter to me what their occupation is or what they do, how much they make. I will say that it does matter that they have some sort of ambition or drive. Like if they're a barista, that's cool, that's fine. But if they want to half-ass that and work part-time and spend the rest of their time literally doing absolutely nothing, that's a different story.
Okay. See, I guess the difference, and I realize there's women that are in perfectly happy relationships where they're the primary breadwinner. Maybe the guy's he's not employed, he's taking care of the household, taking care of the family. But I'm speaking in generalities here. Of course, there are all sorts of dynamics in relationships, but I would say overwhelmingly, like most women date across and up in terms of their partner choices. Like, if I was an attorney, I would have no issue dating a woman that worked at Chick-fil-A, that worked at McDonald's. If I'm making 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, I'll date the batty 19-year-old. Like, to me, a woman's money is not really important to me. But I would say a man's career, a man's finances are more important to women. It's more of a factor.
Can I chime in?
Of course.
I think that when you have a job where you make enough money that you can support yourself and you don't have to worry about anything, like whatever happens in my dating life, like I'll be good. If my boyfriend makes no money, if I don't have a boyfriend at all, if like nothing happens, like I'll be able to afford all my own shit. And so I think it actually like opens up your pool of people, because if you're going out there and you're being like, I don't make that much money and I need to meet some guy who's going to be able to make enough money that he can support our kids, then like, yeah, of course that's going to be a concern. If you don't care about that because you can support your own kids and you can pay for your own shit, then like you don't care about like what your boyfriend's doing necessarily. Like, yeah, I want him to be happy and passionate about his career, but I don't care if he's making more money than I am or even like the same amount. It doesn't matter.
And if that is a woman's genuine position, like, hey, I'm making all this money, I'll date a guy who's kind of a bum, you know,
I didn't say a bum. I said like somebody who makes less money than me.
Sure, but I think I do genuinely think most women want to date a guy that's on their level or above. I think that's the case for most women.